Hey Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today we are taking a look at a little unexpected Easter gift I received from the family. I had to work that weekend, needed a little pick-me-up, and went downstairs 4 o'clock Easter morning. And this was sitting on the table waiting for me with a little note saying, "I love you, happy Easter," and it made me very, very happy and got me through the last day of a long, long weekend of work. So now we're going to take a look at a figure that, honestly, I've kind of been waiting years and years and years to own. One of the most iconic X-Men villains, and we'll get into a previous version in just a little bit here, but big giant box deluxe figure. If Hasbro wants to completely eliminate Build-A-Figures and just start releasing these deluxe figures like they've been doing, that would be A-okay with me. I absolutely hate having to buy full waves of figures, which I'll get, again, more into in just a minute here. But anyway, nice big giant box, 60 years of the X-Men. When I was a kid, X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man, like those were my comic guys. Well, and G.I. Joe. But that was it for me. I was a big X-Men guy, and the Blob is a must-have character. Box looks pretty neat. I like it. I don't, for something, especially for something large like this, I don't mind the windowless packaging. Although apparently that's not going to be a factor anymore, which is, I have to admit, probably a good thing overall for collecting anyway. Alright, let's get this big boy out of here. Alright, there we go. You know, I was never bothered by the lack of windows, but I did realize, you know, as we discussed recently on Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, I did realize that I really wasn't doing any impulse buys in the store because not being able to see the figure was affecting my desire to purchase. That was a thing, which granted, you know, maybe not such a bad thing. I had so many less impulse buys last year, but so wallet-wise it was good, but I'm sure it killed Hasbro's business. Alright, so here's our big tissue paper sack full of Blob. Right off the bat, there is no mistaking this with this. So in 2007, Hasbro, you know, having the Marvel license, so 16 years ago, they released a wave of Marvel Legends figures with a Blob Build-A-Figure, kind of an obvious thing to do. This older one is bigger, but not by much, but a little bit. But I never completed it because I think at the time the prices had gone up to $14.99 for the figures, which was unthinkable to me, to buy a whole wave of figures for $15 a piece, especially when I didn't want most of the figures in the wave. If you don't remember, in order to build this Blob, it was Quicksilver, She-Hulk, a weird bearded Thor, Ultimate Wolverine, Jean Grey and Juggernaut from the third X-Men movie, Zorn, and Yellow Jacket. The only figures I actively wanted from this wave were Zorn, She-Hulk, and the blue Quicksilver. I didn't want any of the rest, and at the time, the figures were pretty ugly. The janky articulation of the old Marvel Legends was really starting to look dated. So while I wanted this Build-A-Figure, I really didn't want any of those figures. And over the years, I picked some up on clearance, or one way or another, but I never completed this Blob. I never got the fists or the left leg. And now I don't have to worry about it, because we have a newer, I would say objectively better Blob. If you take a look at the sculpting, he actually has like a texture on his singlet, I guess it is. A little speck of dust right there. All right, he's actually got a texture on his singlet. His belt is sculpted on as opposed to just being paint. Same thing with the shoulder detail. Like, this is just a better figure. So we're going to take this guy, and we're going to just throw him in the trash. No, I don't know. I'm going to... His foot just fell off. So that's also probably... look at that. He's just got this peg right here. Whereas we have full modern ankle articulation on our new big boy. I'm sure these joints are going to be tough to break. Or break, you know what I mean. To get moving. There we go. So yeah, full modern ankle articulation on this guy. Not just a ball peg situation. Alright, so let's put him away. He'll go back in the Build-A-Figure parts drawer. Probably never to be seen again. There we go. Just get him out of the way there. And let's take a look at this. Now you'll notice, oh man, look at that head. Great movement on the head. The portrait looks fantastic. Did a really wonderful job with that. And all of the freckles and everything that were on that other figure that made it so impressive at the time, that's all present here in our new guy. So he's got a... And the shoulder joints are great. He's got really nice range on those. On his torso, you can see he's got a great range there. No waist joint, but that's okay because we want to keep this unique profile he's got going on. So I don't need a waist joint because anything that you might need to achieve with that, you can get with that torso joint. You can look at the deep hinges on those elbows, which I'm sure, yeah, rotating elbows. There we go. About a 90-degree turn there, and a little bit more than 90, as a matter of fact. But if you want to get a sort of... Man, he's fun. Big, giant figures like this are fun to pose and move around with modern articulation. You know, back in the day, a giant figure like this, now granted that Build-A-Figure blob we were just looking at was kind of an exception, but in a lot of cases, a big giant figure like this would be limited because it's hard to work that articulation in there. Toy designers hadn't necessarily figured out you could make gigantic elbows like that to keep the aesthetics but also give the right kind of articulation. He's fantastic. So he's got the wristbands, which again have the texture on them. Everything is actually sculpted on there. So it's not just a paint job. He's a big boy and he looks great. Man. And just all of that deco on his skin. He's got the thigh swivels line up pretty well. They don't break the profile too badly. He just looks awesome. This is fantastic. This is, as I've said before, you know, I don't review a ton of Marvel Legends. But as I've said before, when Hasbro gets it right, they really, really get it right. And they seem to have done that with this blob. He's fantastic. All right, let's take a look at the other stuff he comes with. We've got an alternate portrait, yelling, angry fat man with, look at the way they sculpted that mouth. I mean, just phenomenal. I don't know which one of these I'm going to use because I like this sort of smug, you can't move me look he's got going on. But then, of course, you love the, you know, the angry, battle-ready, screaming face. They're both pretty awesome. Let's see how easy it is to swap those heads out. Oh, look at that. Pops right off. Oh, man, that one looks good. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's going to be tough, man. I don't know which one of these I want to go with. They're both excellent. And then of course he's got, you know, in the box, we've got an open hand and a fist. And then we have alternates for each side with closed fist and an open hand. So I don't know which way I'm going to go with that. I do like the open hand, the menace of a big fat open hand. Oh, and this one's actually kind of a C-grip. So if you've got like a lamppost or accessories or whatever from other things that have come out, he could actually hold some items in that hand. So that's nice as well. Well, that's, I mean, if for as big a figure as this is, it's really pretty, it's simple and yet very, very impressive. I love it. I'm so happy to have it. It's a little pricey for what it is. I think he's going for $55 right now. But I gotta say, to finally have this character after 16 years of knowing there was a Blob figure, but just not having it because I wasn't willing to pay. You know, look, this is $55 versus the $250 that Build-A-Figure was going for, you know, in recent years. So, you know, consider that. I realize Hasbro shouldn't necessarily be considering that, but as far as your personal financing, think about that when you get this guy. So he's great. He's awesome. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. And Blob doesn't really have much of a catchphrase, so we're just going to go with a...
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.